There is scientific fact that chromosomes are not always XY or XX.
No, they're not.
Intersex.
There is. Yeah, there's
Oh yeah, intersex. We've got the gotcha. We've got the intersex people.
I present to you a transgender child. There is far more evidence of women being attacked by cisgendered white men. There is no evidence of transgender women going into women's spaces and abusing them.
I hate the way I look female, how I was born, and I identify more with male. I know I should have been born a male.
Someone has failed this person. It's fucking sad to see. I'm like actually like struggling with this, man. If a kid wants to like try out things and like not conform to their gender, I think that's fine. Why'd you gotta label it? Why'd you gotta make decisions that they must actually be a boy? Oh, they must actually be a girl. I don't think it's cool, you know what I mean? I don't think it's right.
You're anti-trans.
I'm a bit on the fence about these like Billboard people that are like multiplying, because it really is a very specialist thing, like going out doing street interviews with quite inflammatory things on your billboard. It's not for everyone, and like so far it's not like he's gotten any punch-ups or anything like that, so I guess he's doing better than some people would. But I do wonder, and I think there was some pretty wacky shit that showed up in this particular video, which is why I'm doing this one. But I don't know. I guess I wanna cement my thoughts on this kind of thing, because I'm in two minds. There's stuff I agree with. I'm not down with transing kids and stuff like that. I worry about how like productive, I guess, some of these conversations are. I worry about how persuasive you're gonna be. But yeah, so we've got, I present to you a transgender child. Manchester reacts to my anti-gender ideology signs. But yeah, I think some strange stuff happens in this one. So we'll see what's up. We'll see what Billboard Steve is up to.
You're a fucking moron, mate. What is this?
There's no such thing as a trans
Oh yeah, I saw that. Fuck, what is this? What is going on here?
gender child!
We have different opinions. I think you're a prick.
You're just spreading hate, and I think you're disgusting.
I do not need to see your fucking bigot.
Right.
What the fuck is going on here?
I saw you.
Like, is that assault? He took his camera off and threw it. You can get done for that kind of thing. I don't know if it's assault, I guess, but like, I don't know, leave other people's property alone. What are you doing?
I do not need to see your fucking bigot.
Right. I saw you waiting patiently and appreciate that.
It's all right.
I think I know where this conversation is going to go, actually, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I present to you a transgender child.
Oh, it makes my stomach turn. Not the person, like the look of them, anything like that. Just like the idea of transgender children. I'm sorry, man. It's just... And they don't look very masculine. Like, no offense to them or anything. Maybe they're very early in their transition. You'd have to be at that age, I would hope. It just disturbs me. Like, nothing against that person. Like, I know if that's really going to make you happy, then more power to you. But just the idea is it's just a bit gut-wrenching to me.
I saw you waiting patiently and appreciate that.
It's all right.
I think I know where this conversation is going to go, actually, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, I present to you a transgender child.
This is weird. I'm sorry. Listen, I'll do my best with this, but it does actually bother me. Like, I feel strange.
Okay.
Yes.
How old are you?
I'm 15.
Right.
I'm fully capable of making my decisions. I'm fully aware of...
Okay, well, I mean, let's see in 10 years if this person still feels the same way. If they still think that they don't want to have their own kids, etc., etc., etc. Would this dad think his 15-year-old can consent to sex? I would hope not. Fucking hell. I remember being 16 thinking I knew everything. Yeah, that's the thing. What you risk is you might feel a bit silly about this in 10 years' time. My hope is, if that's the case, listen, if this person continues on transitioning and becomes a trans man and is happy, then great. That's all that matters at the end of the day. But if not, then, like, I don't know. Why is this child sound like saying everything from memory? I get this a lot from, like, the younger, like, trans crowd. And some of the older ones, to be honest. A lot of it sounds very canned. I watched that, this guy Liam Tufts, he interviewed someone called Sam Plested, who's a trans woman, but, like, I guess a lot more like me in terms of like ideology or whatever. And she's like, she looks about 10 years older than me or something like that, I think. maybe more. And like the way she talked was very natural, and it was like, you know, transitioning is meant to be personal. Whereas the way some of these people speak, where it's like, oh, well, my gender identity doesn't match my sex, so I'm changing my sex to match my gender identity, or whatever shit. Like, it sounds canned. I don't know about this. I've barely heard this person speak, but, you know.
Of my body and the way I feel about my life. And by the way, the suicide rate for transgender individuals is the highest because of people denying their identity.
You don't know this. The suicide rate is for all different kinds of reasons. If you really think that no one commits suicide who is trans because they regret it, or because they have all the surgeries and at least realize that it doesn't make them happy, like, you are a bit indoctrinated, unfortunately. This is what's known as the single cause fallacy. Like, there's going to be some people, yeah, who are treated that way, and that contributes to it, sure. But to say that this is overwhelmingly why is dishonest. And it kind of worries me about who's been like talking to this person or who they've been listening to.
And not having access to something that can affirm the way they are.
Like the way they are. Who is anyone? What is it? What does it mean? The way you are, you know? Probably learned this from Jammy Dodger. Who knows? Listen. Fucking Jammy Dodger has blood on his hands. I don't give a fuck.
Women are women and trans men are men. That is their identity.
And when all else fails, just fall back on the sayings, fall back on the identity thing. Your identity exists in your head. It doesn't have any bearing on other people. No one has to accept your gender identity. We need to get past this idea that we should be compelling other people's speech.
There is far more evidence of women being attacked by cisgendered white men.
White man, listen, I think I know where the indoctrination's coming from, actually. Self-hating white man, how nice. Listen, of course, there's more evidence of women being assaulted by cisgender men, because there are far more cisgender men than there are trans women. At the same time, there's Ministry of Justice stats from more than 1 year that show that the incarcerated trans women, the amount of sex offenders in there is like kind of crazy. It's quite a few of them. And to me, I'd rather state it as something like, well, there's kind of a male pattern, a female pattern. Because with sexual assault, it is a bit hazy. A lot of sexual assaults go unpunished. A lot go unprosecuted. But like, it's a really stupid point. Like, you got to talk about like per capita. You can't talk about, well, it's mostly white men. Well, most fucking men in this country are like white and cis. Like, obviously. Duh.
Than there is of men who are now identified as women going into bathrooms and abusing them. A man...
Yeah, like, no shit. It's because one of those populations is massively higher than the other. The problem is, because it's a small population, and because it doesn't happen often because it's a small population, that gives these people the ability to play cover, when actually, there are trans women that do awful things to people. To women specifically. You know what I mean?
Will not go through the whole process of trans identity just to go into a women's bathroom and abuse women.
I mean, that's not why they're doing it, but they might still have that impulse. You got to remember, they're still male. When you take a male person and a female person and they have sex, one of them is taking on far more risk and far more consequence potentially than the other. That's the female, because she's the one that would carry the child. If they made a child, the man could fuck her, get her pregnant, and then disappear forever.
There is no evidence of transgender women going into women's spaces and abusing them. There is
no evidence? Is there no evidence? Do we have to do this every single time? Shauna Smith, transgender woman accused of videotaping an 18-year-old in a Target fitting room, admitted to detectives she had made videos in the past of women undressing. No evidence? We have to deal with that. We have to understand that this shit happens. Just don't lie.
There's far more evidence of men attacking women purely for who they are.
What would
there has been one tragic case in this country.
One tragic case. And how many cases are there of men raping women, men abusing women, men beating women?
One case. There's been more than that, I'm pretty sure. I mean, the one that I always think of is that Katie Dolotowski. This person didn't assault a woman. This person assaulted a little girl. Katie Dolotowski admitted to grabbing the youngster by her face, forcing her into the cubicle before demanding to take her trousers off at the store in Fife, Scotland. The other thing is, if you want to say that someone like, what's their name? Isla Bryson or Lexi Saka, usually the wisdom is they always have been trans. They were always a woman. They've come out as trans since like committing sexual assault on women. But like they've always been trans, because you can't just say that someone's not trans when they say they're trans. But all of a sudden, when someone's done something bad and then comes out as trans, then you can disregard that. Is there any or much evidence of cis men abusing women in toilets? Not really, no. There's not much evidence of either. It doesn't happen very much in general. And of course, cis men are going to be doing it much more often than trans women, because there's way more men than there are trans women. It's just preposterous. But the thing is, you can get away with this shit. And your kid's going to listen and think that this is an acceptable way of talking about these issues, which it's not, because you're lying.
Yeah, that happens. That's a different argument, isn't it?
Not really, no. If people...
Male violence against women, that's one argument. Okay, can I just ask you a question? Okay, so you say you're 15.
Yeah.
Okay. So can you tell me, are you a male to female or a female to male?
Female to male.
See, you should kind of know this shit. Like, he does sound a bit silly asking those kind of questions.
You're female to male.
Yeah.
Or is he asking because he's like trying to think of something to say, and that's kind of a kind of stalling for time, you know?
Okay. So, have you been on any puberty blockers?
No, because the waiting list is too long, which is
Well, it's illegal now. Thank fuck. Like, the thing is, who knows what effects it might have had on you?
just deteriorating mental health of young trans youth.
Yeah. So you...
Well, why not try teaching people that transition after puberty is not a death sentence? I mean, you're a fucking female to male. Like, most of the arguments around, like, transitioning children were originally around transitioning boys, because boys will go through puberty with testosterone, which has some pretty profound and powerful effects that will make it harder for you to pass. With trans men, it's just not the same.
Feel like you're more like a male?
He always has done.
I always have been.
What does it mean to feel like a male? Male is not a feeling. Female is not a feeling. Those are states of being. Those are sexes.
Absolutely fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Okay, you're still biologically a female, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with you liking men's stuff, climbing trees if you want, liking boys' stuff. There's nothing wrong with that. You're perfect just the way as you are. Okay, but if the Tavistock Clinic was still open, you would have been put on a course of puberty blockers. Do you know what they do?
Yes.
I'm sure you do. Tell me what they do.
They alter your hormones, so female to male, it stops the estrogen, and you take testosterone to stop the female puberty and just go forward with male puberty, like a deeper voice and stuff like that, which...
95% lesbian, but sure, dad is proud to have a trans child. Yeah, this dad character is concerning me a little bit. Like I said, I don't want to just jump down the whole rabbit hole. Oh, they must be abusing their child. I don't know that I feel that way, but like, he's very invested, you know what I mean? Playing devil's advocate, trans men often worry about growing breasts. I mean, what's going to happen? They're female. Like, I don't know. The whole puberty blockers thing, it's just crazy to me. I can buy the argument that people feel a certain way because they were able to get them and now they're not. It's been taken off the table. But it's based on very, very like flimsy evidence. The Dutch protocol is the main study that this was based on. And then there was a study in the UK that I think only got published a few years ago. They tried to replicate the the findings of the Dutch protocol about improving these people's mental health, and they failed. They couldn't. There isn't very much evidence that these are really helping people at all. And I wonder if it's because, well, they feel like they have to get to the end of the process before they will. But it kind of seems like, I mean, I've seen another study that suggests that trans women, especially after surgery, their depression, anxiety chances are increasing. Which to me, it's like, well, maybe they got to the end of the process and realized they're still not happy.
Is affirming to people's identities.
So we got...
Yeah, like, why is affirming people's identities so important, though? Why are we so obsessed with identities? Why are you so obsessed with the label of man or male? What does that change about you?
So you flip then from puberty blockers to cross-sex hormones, which was testosterone. So the puberty blockers stop a child becoming an adult, okay? So what it does, it slows down the brain development. They've done tests on, they give the drug initially to people that had what...
Mother notably quiet, Jesus Christ. Well, who knows? Who knows? I can't read minds. Hi, Mischief, I hope you're good.
It's called precocious puberty.
Lesbian and autistic. I mean, statistically, that is probably the case, unfortunately.
So that was maybe 6-7-year-olds starting puberty. So they put them on the...
Can you vote? Can you drink? Can you marry? Can you join the army? No. Then why do you think you can transition? Yeah, I agree. I mean, we don't let kids do a whole bunch of stuff for good reasons.
These puberty blockers, and that's what the drug was licensed for precocious puberty, and they did cognitive tests and their IQ dropped between 7 to 15% being on those drugs. So that's one thing that happens. Others...
Maybe suffered trauma? I mean, maybe. Obviously, I hope not. Obviously, no one should be going through that kind of thing, you know.
Stops your body developing fully, so it stops your bones developing. Now...
Yeah, I imagine... Surely, like, trans men that have been on, like, puberty blockers, surely they're, like, not tall, I would imagine. Like, I don't know, maybe I have gaps in my knowledge about this kind of thing. I kind of worry. I mean, some of these people, they come out as, like, trans masculine. They're very small. They're not going to get, like, treated. Like, smaller men tend not to be taken very seriously all the time. I think that's why you get things like Napoleon complex, where some shorter guys feel the need to kind of compensate with their personality or whatever. Like, I don't know. I just don't know. That their outlook just doesn't look amazing for them. Like, I've watched things before with, like, trans men who, like, they start finding that they become much more lonely when they come out as male and when they start being, like, seen as male by most people. Because it's kind of like that. Like, you know, males and females socialize a bit differently. I've had precocious puberty. The use of the medication is so differently to how it's used on these kids. Well, yeah, it's used way earlier, sure. There are permanent consequences. My understanding is, like, they don't always even use puberty blockers for precocious puberty. I need to find a good source for that. I don't really have one, but it kind of seems like they weigh up whether it's worth the effects, you know?
There's been documented evidence of people that have been on these puberty blockers getting brittle bones, osteoporosis, and breaking the bones. So that's the kind of thing that would happen if you were put on those drugs.
Well, it's the kind of thing that might happen. Like, I don't know how often these things even happen. It certainly can happen. It's happened to people. And truthfully, someone like this might wish they'd been put on puberty blockers. They don't know what their health would have been like. I see this a lot with older transsexual, like, MTFs. Often fervently wish that they could have been on puberty blockers and almost seem like they want to live, like, vicariously through these younger people. That's why they, like, advocate for this kind of thing. But that's a really bizarre, like, mentality. It's a really toxic mentality, in my opinion. Like, I've no idea. If I'd have been on puberty blockers, I've no idea what I'd be like. If I'd still be alive, you know what I mean?
Putting on HRT, hormone replacement therapy, those drugs can affirm your gender and stop people from...
Oh, it's painful to listen to. You can affirm your gender, like, Jesus Christ. That's a reason to put yourself through that kind of treatment. Like, testosterone is not a joke, man. I hear of plenty of, like, supposed trans masks who go on it for a short while and they can't hack it. or they get some unforeseen effect, like, or their hair falls out or something, like their voice changes in a way they weren't prepared for. Perhaps they think they want something, and once they have it, it's like, oh shit. Oh, it terrifies me. It actually terrifies me.
Hating themselves, because the suicide rate is the highest.
Well, when it comes down to suicide...
But it doesn't really go down, that's the other thing. It really disturbs me, honestly. I worry about this person. It doesn't sound like they're entirely speaking from their own point of view. It sounds like there's a certain amount of, this is stuff I've heard other people say, or stuff I've been told by other people that I perceive to have a position of authority.
Rates, okay.
Why did I want to transition? I've always been like drawn to like being feminine. Like when I was 18 and stuff, I was wearing like makeup and stuff like that. I messed around with like cross-dressing and stuff, and that just always carried on. I ended up starting transitioning around 24, 25. But when I started transitioning, I was in like the pit of my life. Well, one of the pits of my life, has been several. And like, I don't know. I felt like I couldn't love myself. I felt like I didn't care about myself. I feel like, I don't know. I think I probably could have had a chance. Like, I just never was good at being by myself. I got in a position where I ended up moving out away from like anyone that I knew. I moved somewhere where I was struggling to make friends. I'm not a very sociable person as it is. I think a lot of it was like down to like loneliness and wanting to feel hope in some kind of way. I think if we were able to normalize like gender nonconformity, especially like males being more feminine, because I think that gets stigmatized a hell of a lot. Like there's some people, they're going to see any man like looking a bit more feminine, and you're either a faggot or you're a nonce, you know what I mean? And that's not okay. I think that maybe I wouldn't have had to have, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm like this because I want to be at this point. I could cut my hair off tomorrow and like wear a binder and be perceived as like a male again, even though most people probably already fucking do. I'm fairly open about what and who I am. But I just don't feel that way. I definitely experience like gender dysphoria. And I'm not saying this person doesn't necessarily, you know. It's just very dark. It's very dark watching someone this young regurgitate the same talking points, affirm their identity. What does that even mean?
So transgender people do have
Thank you, Vala. I appreciate that.
higher suicide rate than the national average.
It'd have been put on puberty blockers, she'd be even shorter, hands and feet smaller. Really don't believe the testosterone will make up for it, even if she gets a minor. Well, yeah, maybe. I mean, I think, isn't it when males are low T, sometimes that's what makes them like taller? Fuck. I looked into a whole bunch of DSDs ages ago. And I'm sure like one of the things I learned was that the interaction between estrogen and testosterone, especially through puberty and stuff like that, when you're growing, is that one of them is like helping you grow and the other is telling you to stop at a certain point and fusing bones off and like capping them off.
Average, but it is no higher than any other people with different types of mental disorder.
How does suicide rate compare pre and post transition? I mean, obviously the data's only so. He's not a male, yeah, that's true. You gotta understand that your sex is what it is. Yeah, the testosterone helps diffuse the bones. So yeah, like being low T can actually make you end up growing taller, but that's like males. Like fucking around with hormones isn't a joke. Like people shouldn't be treating these things as like toys. Or I'm taking this hormone to affirm my gender. It's like, well, is that going to affirm your gender? Are you actually going to feel like what you are? I guess you've got more of a chance as FTM because it has a more profound effect. But yeah, this study, what it found, so they used records of over 100,000 people, and males with surgery showed a higher prevalence of depression, like 25.4% post-surgery than 11.5% pre-surgery. So there's a big difference. And the thing is, like, I can understand it. I feel like some people, they probably think, oh, the next step is going to make me happy. The next step is going to make me feel like I'm actually a woman. The next step is going to make me actually feel like I'm a woman. They get to something like surgery, like, you know, bottom surgery. For some people, myself included, that's kind of the last thing you're going to be doing. Because most people can't afford things like facial surgery and stuff like that. And so it's like, well, you get that surgery and then that hope is kind of gone. You're not, oh, well, I'll have that and then I'll be much happier. So it's like, well, what happens when you have that and there's not much else you can realistically do and you're still not happy? You know what I mean? There's a big long study which shows higher rates of completed suicides 7 to 12 years post-transition. If you have like the name and like what year it was, that'd be great so I can look it up. This is a really recent one. This is Joshua E. Lewis et al. 2025, this was published. But yeah, there is evidence out there. I try not to like jump to really strong conclusions about this kind of stuff, but I can imagine why this might happen. You know what I mean?
Okay, it's exactly the same. And then the thing is, putting people on this pathway of puberty blockers and then cross-sex hormones did not change the suicide rate. In fact, often it made it worse.
Oh, they'll blame this on like societal stuff. It's not like societal stuff doesn't have a factor. But for the one thing, you should understand that you need to be tough and you need to be ready and willing to take some shit for your life decisions. Because some people are just transphobic. That's just how it is. Plenty of those same people, they see a black guy walking past, they'll have a go at him instead. They see a guy looking slightly gay, they'll have a go at him instead. They see a woman wearing a certain item of clothing or whatever, they'll have a go at her instead. You know what I mean? So like, you got to be aware of that when you transition. It's not for the faint of heart. It shouldn't be. And I think people are trying to make it more that kind of thing by trying to make their environment like as soft and, you know, unargumentative or whatever as possible. But it doesn't really work. You can't insulate yourself from the outside world. It doesn't work. But yeah, I mean, I imagine they'll blame it on like societal stuff. Unfortunately, like this person's responses feel very canned. I do worry about people like this, honestly. And I'm concerned about the dad, for sure. He seems suspicious to me, for sure.
Because of people denying their identities.
Like denying their identities, like, mate, you're not. Why do you think that you're entitled to people affirming your identity? Your identity begins and ends in your head. I think the best way is to be yourself. Do what makes you happy. You want to masculinize, then great, go ahead. But at the same time, you can't expect people to affirm your identity all the time. What you're doing if you do that is you think you're entitled to how someone perceives you. You think you're entitled to someone's thoughts, someone's words. You can't do that. It doesn't work. And this person is being failed by whoever's teaching them this shit, quite frankly.
And putting trans women...
And I mean, if you're going to get suicidal because someone's not going to see you the way you see yourself, I almost wonder why you're transitioning. You have to be tough. You have to understand that people are not going to see you the way you see yourself. I used to feel that way. Like, I used to get, like, upset if someone called me a he, or someone called me sir, or someone called me a man. But these days, I just don't care anymore. I don't identify as anything. I don't give a fuck what people think of me. Like, I don't know. I just think we're teaching these kids some, like, really toxic and, like, unhelpful stuff that is not setting them up well for, like, a good life, I don't think, personally. That's what I'm hearing from this person. I worry for them.
In men's spaces and banning them from women's spaces when they feel safer in women's spaces.
Yeah, but no one ever asks how the women feel.
But it doesn't make those women feel safe.
I'm not sure about the father. I think he's just trying to support his daughter. The problem is he's like really in on some of the talking points. It's concerning to me. There's a difference between supporting your child and affirming them to this degree that you take on some pretty bizarre beliefs and say things that there's no evidence that trans women ever assault females or do anything in bathrooms, when that's just not true. Like, you don't know that. You can't say that.
Safe in there.
Doesn't seem to understand that, of course, more men are going to be assaulting women than trans women by a large margin because of the difference in population sizes, you know? Doesn't seem to ever occur to these people.
No woman has said that they feel offended or in danger by a trans woman, but...
That's just not true. Women are saying this. The thing is, women aren't a monolith. There's going to be some women that are just fine with this kind of thing. There's going to be other women that are uncomfortable. The other thing is, women aren't necessarily going to speak up because they might feel threatened. And I mean, we're talking about males to females. Males, bigger, stronger, more impulsive, perhaps in general a bit quicker to anger, that kind of thing. It's terrifying, quite honestly.
Many have said they feel in danger by men.
Well,
yeah, males follow the same pattern of criminality. I'm sorry, man. You haven't looked into it, that's fine. But you're getting fed shit.
Many women do actually say that. Okay, if you go to the Let Women Speak rallies run by Kelly J. Keane, you'll see...
Oof. Dangerous territory. You mentioned someone like Kelly J. Keane. Oh, isn't she a Nazi? That kind of thing. It's very easy to switch your brain off. But, I mean, I don't know, I guess she's an example.
...them almost every weekend.
Could be focusing on GCSEs, not this. Maybe. Maybe some of these kids are trying to find anything they can to put off thinking about their GCSEs. Probably a bit scared of failure. I don't know. I could speculate all day on that kind of thing. Women feel threatened by men, in fact. Yeah. True. And women are always going to see trans women as women. They're going to see them as men sometimes, at least. There are parent of trans kids support groups run by agencies like Mermaids, which teach parents this crap. Yeah, fucking hell. They've got a lot to answer for. Some of these people also have blood on their hands, quite frankly.
And women are speaking up every single day, every single weekend on those rallies saying we don't want men in women's spaces. But can I ask you, you say you feel like...
Yeah, here's the thing. There's women that feel this way. There's women that are absolutely fine with trans women. It's very difficult to speak for all women because women are a massively fucking... massively diverse group with all different kinds of opinions. But none of these people ever seem to consider like women's feelings or feel happy speaking for them. Are you going to speak for women when you're rejecting your own future womanhood? Don't know. Listen, this is a young person. I shouldn't come down too harshly.
A boy, so what does it mean to feel like a boy?
It means I hate the way I look female, how I was born, and I identify more with male. I know I should have been born a male.
Well,
yeah, I mean, this is practically like religious at this point. I should have been born a male. What does it mean that you should have been born one way or another?
Yes, but that's a feeling. You wasn't.
Someone has failed this person. It's fucking sad to see. I'm like actually like struggling with this, man. This is quite a tough watch. Katie Dolotowski is a man. Yes, true.
You wasn't born that. You were born a female.
But I wasn't supposed to be.
I wasn't supposed to, like, oh my God. I think parents who's promoting trans children are suffering from Munchausen by proxy. I mean, potentially some of them. I think there's definitely some that they probably do have all the best intentions. They probably have certain political leanings. I try my best not to demonize the parents. And I try not to demonize the kids too much because they're young, you know? They're being taught all kinds of crap. The point people miss is they say, we are not a threat. I'm not a threat either. Never abused a woman in my life. But if I walk into a toilet, some women might feel awkward, vigilant, etc. Yeah, I agree with that. You can't tell if someone is, it's kind of the point. Yeah, that's the thing. You get women that have trauma, that don't want to be in enclosed spaces around men. You don't know if they're going to perceive you as a woman or a man, especially if you have the attitude that, oh, I identify this way, so I should be in these spaces, irrespective of what I look like, you know? And again, like so many of these people, they don't think how women think, or they assume they think a certain way. Though not all of them do.
It's not who I am.
No, it's not. I would say that it's not how you feel.
Well, I mean, you're female. That is part of who you are. It doesn't define you in entirety. But you can't get away from that state of being, unfortunately. Poor girl has been completely brainwashed. It's tragic. Yeah, fucking. This is difficult to watch, man.
And a lot of the cases, puberty was the cure for gender dysphoria.
She said she was not supposed to be born female. She was supposed to be born male, which that means nothing. Like, you can't... What does it even mean? What does it even mean? If I was to say, oh, I should have been born female, what does that actually mean?
It's made it worse. It does for many trans people.
Well, in many cases, the majority of the cases going through the Tavistock Clinic, puberty was the cure. Generally, if it's young boys that have gender...
I mean, there's like studies that suggest, I think it's like 66 to 90% of kids will just desist if going through puberty. I think there's definitely some truth there. I think some will. it's very difficult to tell which kids are just going through a phase and which aren't. You don't know. If you're what's the word? Self-hatred, hey maybe, Jesus. I try not to say that about people either, but I don't know. They make it hard sometimes. Like, yeah, how are you to know which kids are going to persist and stay trans for the rest of their lives and which ones are maybe going to desist and then start regretting things? Realize that they're never having their own kids, stuff like that. I don't know.
Gender dysphoria, they often grow up to be gay, you know. If it's young women that have that, they often grow up to be lesbians. But I think it's the cruelest thing you can do is to tell somebody that they were born in the wrong body. You should let them grow up to be an adult and then make that decision. Once you're an adult.
88 to 98. Yeah, I've seen studies and stuff. Again, listen, this is like soy as fuck, and it's probably annoying to listen to sometimes. I try not to like jump to crazy conclusions on studies because I see too many people doing it. Who do we watch? That fucking Mike Brigandy guy reads a few studies about trans brains, most of which the like sample sizes are like 50 or less, and comes to all kinds of crazy conclusions about how brains work and stuff like that. It's just fucking nuts.
Once your brain's fully developed at the age of maybe...
I mean, the other thing, you worry, like, are we patronizing them? It's difficult because kids don't know as much as they think they do. But you shouldn't really treat them like they're stupid. Should you treat them as if they're like underdeveloped? It's difficult, man. I don't know. You wonder how much preparation he had for the chance that he's actually speaking to like a trans child. Really, really tricky conversation to have. Fucking hell. I don't know, like, I don't think he's doing too badly in this. Like, some of his performances I'm really not sure about. Others I think he does okay on. Like, oh, it's tough. Fucking hell. I could never do this, man. I mean, if a trans child called into my stream, I guess, but like, even then, it's like, fucking hell, I don't know about this.
If it's young women that have that, they often grow up to be lesbians. But I think it's the cruelest thing you can do is to tell somebody that they were born in the wrong body. You should let them grow up to be an adult and then make that decision. Once you're an adult and once your brain's fully developed at the age of maybe, I think they say it's about 25, 26, and you want to go down that pathway, I wish you all the best.
Sexuality is completely different to gender.
Yeah, it's been conflated, the two.
No, what he's saying is people of a certain sexuality tend to be the ones that are transitioning. Does that not tell you? Is that not a bit concerning? Are we not reaching towards some kind of bizarro, like, eugenics for gay people, potentially? I mean, that's far out. That's a conspiracy theory for sure, but, like, Jesus.
Have been conflated.
Gender is about how you feel in your body. Sexuality is how you feel about people.
Gender is a social construct.
Yeah, so it's just
like, you could say that it's, like, your personal taste based on what is typically seen as male or female. Masculine or feminine. I don't know. The word gender is like so fucking bastardized.
Feeling. So
it's valid. Feelings are valid for every single person.
Yes, but that doesn't change your biological sex.
Nothing can change the biological.
Well, I feel like I'm a mule deer. Is that valid?
Sex, but you can.
Well, we can agree.
But Steve, this family don't want a lesbian daughter. Jesus.
On that.
Yeah,
I can absolutely agree on that.
Chromosomes don't change.
I think we're spending too much time telling kids that their feelings are valid. Are your feelings always valid? No. Sometimes your feelings are irrational. That's not valid.
But you can change how the hormones that go through your body, how your body looks to affirm more with how you identify.
Actually, can I disagree with you there? I read something yesterday that there is scientific fact that chromosomes are not always XY or XX.
No, they're not.
Intersex.
There is. Yeah, there's
oh yeah, intersex. We've got the gotcha. We've got the intersex people. Fucking hell. You like you don't want a straight one either. They may well want a permanent child. Jesus, it doesn't bear thinking about, man. It doesn't bear thinking about.
Intersex. I can tell you a little bit about that. You probably know a lot about that as well, don't you?
They recently made a condition in the UK to screen for autism when patients present saying they're trans for autism. Yeah. I mean, they didn't do that when I transitioned. They screened for like schizophrenia and bipolar, and that was about it.
I do.
But the thing is, what happens is people who are trans rights activists, they use the fact that there are certain disorders of sexual development.
Yeah, it does feel sometimes that he's like just desperately desperately reaching for the next point and the next point. It's probably quite easy to have these conversations when you're as indoctrinated as this person unfortunately is.
DSDs they call it, disorders of sexual, and they
Intersex is different combinations of X and Y. I'll listen more to the intersex argument when scientists find a Z or something. Yeah, that's fair enough. Ultimately, sex is still binary. Most intersex people, or what we're calling intersex people, people with DSDs, most of those people, you can still file into male or female. If they have working genitalia and produce a gamete, then you already know. They'll have a dominant gonad if it doesn't work. You should be able to pretty easily determine what they should have been producing. Their genetics might just match male or female anyway. There's no third sex, ultimately. If you want to say there could be a null category for people that are infertile or very, very ambiguous because of some disorder or other, then fair enough, but that's not disproving a binary. You flip a coin, it's a binary choice, heads or tails. It might land on its side, it just almost certainly won't. And bear in mind, people are identified as their sex at birth correctly 99.95% of the time. It's actually very rare that someone is misidentified or is not very clear.
I use that to say that sex isn't binary, there isn't male or female. Now, even with these disorders, your body is designed...
Trans people are not intersex. You could get an intersex trans person. You do get trans people that pretend they have some intersex condition when they don't. There's a study that kind of shows that, but it shows that in a limited way because it's like about 37 people or something. But I completely buy it. Like, that seems to be the logical endpoint of all this talk about, oh, well, you can't see my chromosomes, so you don't know what sex I am. And it's like, well, I can intuit that this person, Billboard Steve here, XY chromosomes, this girl and her mother, XX, this man, XY, myself, XY, you know what I mean?
To predominantly be one or the other. You're either male or you're either female. Listen, I really appreciate this conversation, and I really do wish you all the best. Your parents, you agree with your...
Supportive.
You're supportive, yeah. But my advice, you don't have to take it because I'm just some random guy in the street. I would say just give it time, and then if you're an adult and you want to be something different, then if you want to be something...
I mean, do we need to give advice to the person? I don't know about this. At the same time, oh, you're not disrupting, don't worry, it's good to see you. I have music like linked if you like kind of depressing emo indie stuff. I have a lot of effects pedals and stuff. I like sounds. I like making my guitar not sound like a guitar. But yeah, I don't know, giving them advice. I don't know about this. Listen, maybe I'm speaking too soon. These people are at least civilized and not bigot shaming. That's certainly a good thing. You're certainly at least seeing a conversation where no one's getting angry, no one's getting riled up. He's at least certainly trying to be kind and not entirely browbeating, even if he kind of is. Called the Queer Allies Bible. The family is talking from it. Is that something you can see on the internet? I mean, listen, all the talking points, they're all the fucking same, aren't they? The Queer Allies Bible, NV Gay. Okay, that's definitely your name. I mean, this looks cringe as fuck. I hate the idea of allies. I hate the idea that people should put themselves above the rest of us, going around calling themselves allies. We don't need allies. Trans people need friends, not allies, you know? Intersex argument reminds me of why Shapeshifter doesn't do a lot of work on YouTube now. Shape got caught up with something wanting to take them down and it worked. Ouch. Listen, might happen to me one day, who knows?
Other than the sex that
I'm not intersex though, to be clear.
You were born with, then go and live a happy life. That's what I would say to you.
Thank you for the debate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Rose of Dawn, I always heard that was about mental health issues. And I mean, I understand it. It must be stressful putting yourself out there, getting called a fucking quisling, getting called a traitor the whole time. She got personally called out by ContraPoints. And I used to be one of those people. I used to be one of those people that watch ContraPoints and yeah, fuck you, Rose of Dawn, you're a fucking Blair White wannabe. And nowadays it's well, I don't see it that way anymore. I don't think ContraPoints was saying much of anything in their video. A lot of it was speculating that these people hate on someone like Jessica and Eve because they see themselves in them, which I don't think is necessarily true at all. You got kicked off of Twitter. I actually fucking hate Twitter. I try not to use it as best I can. I wish it was a bit more knowledgeable, able to give them more places to seek out accurate info. Yeah, that's fair enough. Listen, I don't know if it's worth like leaving comments. Maybe he takes on criticism. I don't know. Like I said, it's quite a new thing. You know what I mean? Rose got pretty harassed by major bread tubers in their audiences. Yeah. And that's the thing. A lot of these bread tubers actually have zero morals when it comes to like how their audiences deal with their targets. Like, look into someone called James Somerton, who, like, I hate like cancellations, but the guy was like plagiarizing things like wholesale, taking like people's weird essays about queering like fictional characters. Me personally, I'd be too embarrassed to claim any of that shit. BreadTube is like left-leaning YouTube. ContraPoints, H-Bomber guy, Sean, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, the James Somerton thing, like the shit that he was doing was not okay. But nowadays, everything he does, whenever he resurfaces anywhere, there's these people waiting to like jump on him. It's like they want him to like off himself. They'll only be happy when he does that. He can't do anything now. Why do I hate Twitter? I just think it brings out the worst in most people. I see the worst kind of arguments on both sides of the aisle. Having that kind of word count, character limit or whatever, doesn't exactly encourage like nuance. It encourages crazy broad statements. I don't think Elon Musk buying it has helped any. It's just turned into a different kind of echo chamber. I'm not really a fan of Elon Musk myself, so I don't know. I just think, I don't know, it brings out the worst in people. It brings out the worst in me too. I'll cop to that, you know.
No, I appreciate it. I saw you waiting. But it was good. And it's nice to have these conversations. I've had people throw abuse at me, and I just want to have conversations, that's all. Okay.
Everyone's entitled to their opinions.
But, I mean,
Maybe let them go. They're getting impatient now, bro. Like, come on.
You might have seen these. A lot of young people are being influenced on the internet through Tumblr, through TikTok. They're watching all these trans influencers, but they get set on a pathway of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and then surgery. And there's many that regret it. There you go. Do you know of the organisation called GenSpect?
No.
If I can give you one takeaway from this, okay.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is this person mentions it to their radical friends. Oh, you can't trust them. They're a TERF group. They do this, that, and the other. Their founder was seen in the same vicinity as insert conservative figure of some kind or other. It kind of sucks. This Bible, along with a bunch more books like it, including Jamie Dodger's books, were all given to parents whose child declares a trans identity, usually at school. Fucking hell, yeah, that's nasty. Listen, I looked into some of like the school stuff. There's this thing called Pop and Ollie. There's loads of these kind of things. Presumably making a decent amount of money, like booking, like talking things where they teach the kids about, you know, trans people and stuff. Usually kids at much too young an age. Selling like these classroom resources, like posters you can put up. You can teach your kids about Nikki tutorials because she's trans. I don't know, like, it's a bit ghoulish. I think there's definitely an age limit on this kind of stuff. Like, at what point are you just putting ideas into kids' heads? Like, why not? Like, for me, it's like, if a kid wants to, like, try out things and, like, not conform to their gender, I think that's fine. Why'd you gotta label it? Why'd you gotta make decisions that they must actually be a boy? Oh, they must actually be a girl. I don't think it's cool, you know what I mean? I don't think it's right. I don't think they should be, like, affirming this kind of shit. I think you should just let your kid experiment and see what makes them happy. Like, they're still a boy or a girl, but you can do an awful lot with either of those things, you know what I mean?
And really for the parents as well, and really for you guys, there's an organisation called GenSpect, GenSpect. They're on YouTube. Just have a look, because there are many young women and young men that have had transition regret.
Well, I don't know. One of my other blind spots is I don't know too much about all these organisations. I don't know if they're one that I would shout out, but hey, maybe.
And then they've said, I didn't understand what was going on, and I've now changed, and I've developed into something. They told me that I was this. I've had a double mastectomy. I've now got no breasts, and they regret it. for your time, guys. I really do appreciate it. This has been the best conversation
Jeez, he finally let him go.
I've had all day. Okay, enjoy.
Listen, everyone was civil. I'm very concerned about this young person. But hey, there we go. Fucking hell, that was that was actually a lot darker than I expected. Something about seeing a child like that, like actually saying all this kind of cult shit. It's just, it's terrifying to me. It actually scares me. I'm actually really not down with that kind of thing. And if that makes me a fucking transphobe, then fucking go ahead, I guess. It's not for me. I don't think it's good. I don't think kids should be getting involved in this shit. Yeah, there we go. Billboard Steve. I don't know. I think I've got a decent measure of this. Maybe I'll watch more in the future. I've watched a fair amount recently, so yeah. I don't know. And I mean, I think he handled himself okay in this conversation. I don't think he's the best at this, but like, you know, is Benjamin Boyce connected to Jen Specht? I can't remember. I can never keep up, to be honest, with which one is which, you know. Last conversation was the most constructive I've ever seen on this issue. Listening respectfully is the key to progress. Hey, maybe. Kid is mostly likely on the spectrum. Hats off to the parents for letting us stand their ground of a civil conversation. Most likely scared for their daughter's safety, so affirm there. Based on screwed medical advice. Hey, maybe. Listen. Some of the people like commenting, these aren't hateful people. There's got to be some kind of like, people have to like talk about this somehow. So sad listening to the little girl who wants to be a boy. Every word, the way she pronounced each word is relayed. You can see how it's not her own mind. I agree. Fucking hell. I don't like to say this about people. It's a very lazy argument to say, oh, you're brainwashed. But it feels very canned. It feels like, it's like jargon. You know what I mean? Kids are fully brainwashed. My best friend ever as a kid was a girl who was a major tomboy. In the end, she's become a lesbian, but she never transitioned. I could guarantee if it was around when we were kids, she 100% would go for this. A lot of people are feeling that way. I don't know. I don't think in general these are like transphobic people. I think there has to be some kind of way of like, of making ends meet, at least getting people to understand that the other side is not, like, it's a bit more to it than there being good guys and bad guys and shit like that, you know? I don't know. I'm depressed now. Let's watch something else. Listen, make sure you like the stream. Make sure you scroll down, if you wouldn't mind. Just click the like button. Helps me out in the algorithm. If you're on a mobile device, just find the like button. Click on the chat or something like that. Press like. Helps me out massively. I do appreciate it very much. If you want to take your support further, you can donate on Streamlabs. You can get your message read out on text-to-speech. You can join me on Twitch. You can subscribe on Twitch. I'm monetized on there, but not on YouTube. I have Patreon. You can give a few dollars a month, help me keep things going. Obviously, the more I make, the more I can do this. You can join my Discord. We talk about trans stuff. Sometimes other stuff. Sometimes we talk about what noises baby deer make. Maybe I need a baby deer palate cleanser. I don't know. Maybe that's a good idea. I'm actually like quite depressed having watched that. Listen, I'm supposed to talk about like trans issues, but I spend much more time just watching shit like this, to be honest. They're so pretty. Oh my god. I heard something about the NHS wanting to test trans youth for autism. Someone said that in my chat, yeah. Is that a thing now? Suddenly media can use such problematic language like correlation of autism with gender issues. But the problem is, when you lie and cover things up as part of your movement, eventually this shit gets out, you know? Yeah. NHS to test all trans children for autism. And the thing is, I can 100% believe there's a link. I think that like, I don't know. I'm somewhat autistic myself. I kind of understand how you feel more alien to a lot of things when you're autistic. Like, for example, like social norms, gender roles, stuff like that. Sometimes that stuff can seem like whack when you're autistic. You don't understand why people are like this. I completely understand, you know. Yeah, there's a Telegraph article. This is gonna paywall me any second now. Autism and ADHD. Will test all children that believe they are trans for autism. It emerged last night. Following Baroness's cast review into gender identity, NHS England has made revisions. You can see every child. I thought NHS England was being broken down. I can't remember. Holistically assessed for neurodevelopmental conditions. I don't know. I mean, I really think I've never met a trans person who's not autistic. I probably haven't either, fucking hell. Like, I really think that trans should be like the last resort. You shouldn't be like going straight for sterilizing people, especially kids, you know what I mean? It's tough. I don't know. Again, when your rights movement is so based on lies, what you risk is the Tory government getting someone like Hilary Cass to do a review. And what they're going to find is not necessarily going to be pretty, because you've been lying for years, you know what I mean? This was all inevitable. I've been trying to tell people this shit for years. This was going to always swing back. We were trying to push the culture way too far, way too fast. Things that people don't want, like trans kids, trans women in women's sports, silly boycotts of video games, stuff like that. That's how you produce like a backswing like this. But no one would fucking listen to me. So I made a stream. And hey, listen, people seem actually interested in what I have to say. And thank you so much, by the way. Listen, we'll just finish the Dear for one thing and we'll move on, because I don't know, it makes me feel better. There we go, that's my autism.